The galaxy laughed when humans sent one vessel. Then it arrived. The day the aliens arrived changed everything. It was a clear morning in June 2157 when the massive ships appeared over major cities across Earth. They hovered silently, their sleek metal bodies reflecting sunlight in ways that made them seem almost alive. Panic lasted only hours before the visitors sent messages to every device on the planet. They came in peace. They were the Galactic Confederation, an alliance of 17 different alien species who had been watching Earth for decades. Now they felt humans were ready for contact. In Washington, D.C., Admiral Laura Peterson watched the live broadcast as the alien representatives met with world leaders. The lead alien called himself High Ambassador Zev Karan. He looked like a tall insect standing on two legs with 4 arms and a head that seemed too large for his body. His skin was blue-green and shimmered when he moved. "We welcome Earth to the galactic community," Zev Karan said through a small device that translated his clicks and whistles into perfect English. "We offer friendship, knowledge, and protection." Laura didn't trust the alien's words. 25 years in the Navy had taught her to look for what wasn't being said. The ambassador smiled with his strange mouth, but his large black eyes remained cold. Over the next week, the aliens showed off their technology. They cured 3 kinds of cancer. They cleaned a polluted lake in minutes. They lifted a falling satellite back into orbit with a beam of light from their ship. Earth's leaders were amazed and grateful. Who wouldn't be? The aliens offered membership in their confederation, with access to wonders beyond imagination. But there were conditions. For your own safety, and the safety of the galaxy, there must be some limits, Zev Karan explained during a United Nations meeting. Laura sat in the back watching carefully. Earth will be a protected member for 100 years. During this time, you may not develop certain technologies without our approval. You may not establish colonies beyond your solar system without permission. The alien paused, his large head tilting. This is for everyone's benefit. Humans have shown violent tendencies, technological immaturity. You need guidance. Most people in the room nodded. It seemed reasonable. Earth was joining an advanced group of space travelers. Of course, there would be rules. Laura saw something different. She recognized the smooth words of someone planning to take control. The aliens weren't allies. They were colonizers with good public relations. 3 days later, she stood before the United Nations Security Council. Maps and data filled the screens behind her as she spoke. The Confederation has already established bases on Mars and our moon without asking permission. They've begun mining operations in our asteroid belt. They're taking what they want while telling us it's for our own good. Some council members shifted uncomfortably. Others looked angry at her accusations. "Admiral Peterson," said the representative, "from China, we cannot risk offending beings who could destroy our planet if they wished." "I'm not suggesting we fight them," Laura replied. "I'm suggesting we don't blindly trust them." After the meeting, Laura was called to the White House. President Kate Simmons waited in the Oval Office, looking tired. "You made quite an impression today, Admiral." "I'm just telling the truth as I see it, Madam President." Kate stood and walked to the window. Outside, one of the alien ships floated above the National Mall, a constant reminder of how small humans had suddenly become. "And what do you suggest we do? We're alone and completely outmatched." Laura took a deep breath. "We need time to catch up, to study their technology and develop our own." "How?" "Project Odysseus, 1 ship, our best and brightest scientists and military personnel. Everything we've secretly developed before the aliens arrived, plus anything we can learn from them." The president turned, her expression doubtful. 1 ship? Against an entire galactic federation? We don't need a fleet, we need proof that we can match them, that we deserve respect, not supervision. Kate Simmons studied Laura's face for a long moment. "The Confederation monitors everything we do. How could we build such a vessel in secret? We let them see what we want them to see. A simple exploration ship, built with their approved technology. Meanwhile, underground, 2 weeks later, the president approved the project. Construction. began in a massive underground facility beneath the Nevada desert. The site had once housed nuclear research, but had been officially closed and erased from records decades ago. News of Earth's shipbuilding project leaked to Confederation intelligence, just as Laura had planned. The aliens' reaction was exactly what she expected. Amusement. Zev Karan himself mentioned it during a meeting with Earth's newly formed Space Relations Committee. "We understand your people are building a vessel. This is good. It will help you better appreciate the complexities of space travel." His mandibles clicked, and what humans had learned was laughter. "Perhaps in a few decades, your ship might reach your outer planets." Word spread across the galaxy. The newest, weakest members of the Confederation thought they could achieve in secret what took other species centuries to develop. It became a joke among alien diplomats and traders who visited Earth. "Let the humans build their toy," they said. It will be a humbling lesson in their limitations. Meanwhile, beneath the desert, the real work continued. Dr. Olivia Wright, a physicist whose theories on gravity manipulation had been dismissed by her peers until the aliens' arrival confirmed them, led the science team. Chief Engineer Jack Summers, who had designed experimental aircraft before first contact, oversaw construction. The ship took shape slowly. From the outside, it looked similar to smaller Confederation vessels, sleek and practical. Inside, it contained technologies the aliens wouldn't expect and didn't know humans understood. "They think we're building a simple exploration vessel," Jack told Admiral Peterson during a tour of the incomplete ship. "Something like their scout-class ships." Laura ran her hand along the strange, almost organic-looking material of the hull. "And what are we actually building?" Dr. Wright smiled. Her eyes shone with the light of someone who had waited her whole life for this moment. "Something they've never seen before. Something uniquely human." 5 months later, Captain Alan Russell was appointed to lead the mission. He stood in the massive underground hangar, staring up at the ship that would carry humanity's hopes among the stars. USS Odysseus. He read the name painted on the hull. Fitting. "A long journey home," Laura said, standing beside him. "Except we're not trying to get back to Earth, we're trying to secure Earth's future." Alan nodded. "When do we launch?" 1 year. "We need to finish the special modifications and train your crew." "And the Confederation?" Laura's face hardened. "They still think we're building a basic ship using only their approved technology. We'll give them a proper launch to watch in about 10 months. Something to reinforce their beliefs about our limitations." "And the real launch?" "Will happen 3 months later, following a trajectory that keeps you hidden from standard detection methods." Captain Russell looked back at the ship. "They laughed when they heard we were sending one vessel." "They won't be laughing when you arrive," Laura replied. The galaxy laughed. When humans sent one vessel, then it arrived. For 5 years, Earth's best scientists, engineers, and military minds worked in absolute secrecy. The underground facility in Nevada became home to over 300 people who lived and worked there full-time. Their families were told they were on special assignment overseas. In truth, they were building humanity's future. Captain Alan Russell walked through the metal hallways of the nearly complete USS Odysseus. The ship was bigger inside than it appeared from the outside, thanks to Dr. Wright's breakthroughs in spatial manipulation. Every inch had a purpose. Nothing was wasted. "Captain on deck," called out Lieutenant Commander Nicole Barnes when Alan entered the bridge. The dozen crew members working at various stations stood at attention. "At ease," Alan said. "How are the system tests going?" Nicole stepped forward. She was a tall woman with dark skin and short hair who had previously served on nuclear submarines. Her specialty was tactical planning and security. "The shield tests exceeded expectations, sir. And the new engine design is running at 98% efficiency." Alan nodded and looked around at the bridge. It was smaller than people might expect from watching old science fiction shows, but more advanced than anything humans had built before. Screens and holographic displays showed. The ship's systems and comfortable chairs were positioned at each station. "Where's Dr. Wright?" he asked. "In engineering with Summers. They're testing the gravity weapon." The gravity weapon was perhaps their greatest achievement. By studying the aliens' propulsion systems, Dr. Wright had discovered a way to manipulate gravity fields not just for movement, but as a defensive and offensive tool. In theory, they could disable enemy ships without destroying them. In theory. They had never actually tested it against alien technology. Alan found Dr. Wright and Chief Engineer Jack Summers in a large room deep within the ship. The space was dominated by a strange device that looked like a metal sphere surrounded by rings that moved in different directions. Soft blue light pulsed from gaps in the rings. "Captain," Jack greeted him with a nod. His hands were covered in a black substance that seemed to move slightly. "Just in time. We're about to test the final calibration." Dr. Wright didn't look up from her control panel. Her fingers moved quickly over the glowing surface. "The problem was harmonizing the gravitational frequencies," she said. "We solved it by introducing a randomized pattern that changes every microsecond." Alan didn't fully understand the science, but he knew the results were impressive. During their last test, they had been able to lift a 10-ton block of steel and crush it into the size of a basketball, all without touching it. "Will it work against Confederation shields?" he asked. Dr. Wright finally looked up. Her eyes were tired but excited. "Their shields work on consistent energy patterns. Our weapon is inconsistent by design. They've never seen anything like it, because they've never needed to think the way we do." "What do you mean?" Jack wiped his hands on a cloth. "The Confederation developed in a straight line. Each species built upon what came before. They had thousands of years to perfect their technology, without major wars or setbacks. Humans had to take shortcuts," Dr. Wright added. "We jumped from primitive flight to space travel in less than 70 years. We developed nuclear power while still burning coal. Our path was messy because we were always fighting or competing with each other." "And that's an advantage?" Alan asked. "It is now," Jack said with a smile. "We think differently. We solve problems in ways they don't expect." While the real USS Odysseus neared completion underground on the surface, humans played their role perfectly. They accepted the Confederation's restrictions, welcomed their cultural exchange programs, and expressed appropriate gratitude for the carefully measured technological gifts from their galactic benefactors. The official Earth ship, a simple vessel built to Confederation specifications, sat on display at the Kennedy Space Center. Alien tourists came to look at it and take pictures. Human guides explained the basic propulsion system and life support technologies as if they were miraculous advances. The real miracle was happening in Nevada. 3 months before the planned launch, Captain Russell gathered his crew for their first official briefing. 20 men and women stood at attention in the underground facility's conference room. They had been chosen not just for their skills, but for their ability to think creatively under pressure. "At ease," Alan said. "Take a seat." The crew sat down, their faces serious. They knew what was at stake. "In 90 days we launch on the most important mission in human history," Alan began. "The Odysseus isn't just a ship. It's proof that humans deserve a place among the stars not as children, but as equals." He activated a screen showing a map of nearby star systems. "Our first destination will be the Raxon Thal system. Intelligence suggests the Confederation is allowing one of its founding members, the Drizari, to pressure this newly spacefaring race into an unfair treaty." Lieutenant Paul Garcia raised his hand. He was their navigation expert, young but brilliant. "Sir, that's 60 light-years away. Even with our new drive, that's a month of travel." 26 days, according to Dr. Wright's calculations, Alan corrected. "And yes, that means we'll be on our own for nearly a month before making first contact." Dr. Sam Holloway, their xenobiologist and diplomacy expert, spoke next. "Do we know much about the Raxon Thal? Their biology, culture, language?" "Very little. The Confederation has restricted information about them. That's why you're here, Doctor. You'll need to establish communication quickly." Alan looked around, at each crew member. "You were all chosen for this mission for a reason. You're not just the best in your fields, you're the most unpredictable, the most adaptable, the most human." He let that sink in before continuing. The Confederation thinks they know what humans are capable of. They've studied our history, our technology, our conflicts, but they've missed something important about us. What's that, sir? Asked Lieutenant Commander Barnes. We don't accept limitations. When someone tells us something is impossible, we take it as a challenge. Every major breakthrough in human history happened because someone refused to accept the conventional wisdom. Dr. Elizabeth Morgan, their computer systems expert, smiled, like when they said the sound barrier couldn't be broken, or that heavier-than-air flight was impossible. Exactly, Alan said. The Confederation has existed for thousands of years without any significant challenges. They've grown comfortable, predictable, and we're going to surprise them, Jack Summers added from the back of the room. That's the plan, Alan agreed. Any questions? There were many, about the mission, about what they might face, about what would happen if they failed. Alan answered what he could, but the truth was no one really knew what would happen when humans truly ventured into the galaxy for the first time. 3 months later, the Confederation observers were permitted to witness the ceremonial launch of Earth's first interstellar vessel from Kennedy Space Center. High Ambassador Zev Karan himself attended, his mandibles clicking with what humans now recognized as smug amusement. What the aliens didn't know was that the real USS Odysseus had departed 3 days earlier, following a trajectory that kept it hidden from standard detection methods. The true test of humanity had begun. The galaxy laughed when humans sent one vessel. Then it arrived. The USS Odysseus traveled through space for 23 days. The crew settled into their routines, checking systems, running drills, and preparing for first contact. They lived in comfortable quarters and ate meals together in a small dining area. Despite the importance of their mission, there was time for games, conversation, and rest. Captain Alan Russell spent most of his time on the bridge, watching the stars streak by on the main screen. The ship moved faster than any human vessel before it, but space was vast. Even at their incredible speed, it would take weeks to reach their destination. On the 24th day, Lieutenant Paul Garcia called the captain to the navigation station. "Sir, we're picking up signals ahead. Looks like ships in combat." Alan leaned over to look at the display. "How far?" "About 6 hours at our current speed. Can you identify them?" Paul adjusted some controls. "Based on the energy signatures, I believe one is a Raxenthal vessel. The others are definitely Drazari. 4 warships." Alan straightened up. "Sooner than we expected. Sound general quarters. I want everyone at their stations in 15 minutes. The alarm rang throughout the ship. Crew members moved quickly to their positions. On the bridge, Lieutenant Commander Nicole Barnes took her place at the tactical station. Dr. Sam Holloway and Dr. Elizabeth Morgan arrived moments later. "Status report," Alan ordered once everyone was in place. "All systems green," reported Jack Summers from engineering through the communication system. "Gravity weapon is charged and ready." "Shields at full strength," added Nicole. "Translation software is running," said Elizabeth. "We should be able to understand their communications." Alan nodded. "Let's see what we're dealing with." The main screen changed to show the space ahead of them. A large ship with a round central section and 2 extending wings was surrounded by 4 smaller, more angular vessels. The smaller ships were firing energy weapons at the large one, which had visible damage to one wing. "The large ship is sending out distress calls," Elizabeth said, listening through her headset. "They're asking for Confederation assistance." Sam studied the ships. The large vessel appears to be a civilian design, possibly a colony ship or transport. "Any response to their distress call?" Alan asked. Elizabeth shook her head. "None that I can detect." "The Confederation isn't coming," Nicole said. "This is happening in an unclaimed sector. They don't interfere in border disputes." Alan understood what that meant. The powerful Confederation members could do whatever they wanted to weaker species. "How long until they detect us?" he asked. "At our current approach, about 30 minutes, Paul answered. Alan made his decision. "Increase speed. I want to reach them before that ship takes any more damage. The Odysseus accelerated, its advanced engines pushing it faster than any Confederation vessel could travel. In 20 minutes they were close enough to see the battle clearly. The large Raxenthal ship was badly damaged now. Its engines were failing, and it could no longer maneuver away from its attackers. The Drazari ships continued to fire, taking turns hitting different sections. They're toying with them, Nicole said, her voice tight with anger. Open a channel to all ships, Alan ordered. Elizabeth pressed some controls. Channel open, sir. Alan stood tall. This is Captain Alan Russell of the Earth vessel Odysseus. We're responding to a distress signal. Cease fire immediately. There was a pause, then a harsh voice responded. On the screen, a reptilian face appeared. The alien had green scales, yellow eyes, and sharp teeth that showed when he spoke. Unregistered. Ship, identify your Confederation classification or be destroyed, the alien demanded. I am Warlord Kress of the Drazari battle fleet. We are from Earth, Alan replied calmly. We have no Confederation classification. The alien's eyes narrowed. Earth? The new protectorate? Return to your system, human. This doesn't concern you. We're responding to a distress call, Alan repeated. That makes it our concern. You have 1 minute to leave this area, Warlord Kress hissed, or we will destroy you along with the Raxenthal ship. The communication ended. Alan looked at Nicole. Options? They have us outgunned if we're counting traditional weapons, she said. 4-1. But they don't know about our shields or the gravity weapon. Alan nodded. Open a channel to the Raxenthal ship. A moment later, a new alien face appeared. On screen. This one had pale blue skin, large silver eyes, and no visible mouth. When it spoke, the sound seemed to come from somewhere in its chest. Unknown vessel, we thank you for your assistance, but you should leave. The Drazari will destroy you. We're not leaving, Alan said. How many people are on your ship? The alien's silver eyes blinked slowly. Nearly 5,000. This is the Homekeeper. It carries most of our government and many civilian families. We were searching for a new colony world when the Drazari attacked. Hold position and prepare for possible evacuation, Alan instructed. We'll handle the Drazari. The alien seemed confused but grateful. May the stars witness your courage. Alan turned to his crew. Battle stations, Nicole, target the lead Drazari ship with the gravity weapon, minimum power. We want to disable, not destroy. Aye, Captain, target locked. Dr. Wright is standing by in engineering, Jack reported through the communication system. Gravity weapon is hot. On the screen, the Drazari ships were forming a new attack pattern. They clearly planned to deal with the human ship quickly, then return to their original target. They're charging weapons, Nicole reported. Let them fire. First, Alan ordered. Let's see what we're dealing with. The lead Drazari ship fired a bright beam of energy directly at the Odysseus. It hit the shields and seemed to splash across them like water, causing no damage. Shield strength still at 100%, Nicole said, sounding pleased. They're confused, sir. They're scanning us. Now it's our turn, Alan said. Fire gravity weapon. A nearly invisible wave pulsed from the Odysseus toward the lead Drazari ship. When it hit, the alien vessel suddenly stopped moving. All its lights flickered and went out. Direct hit, Nicole reported. Their main power is offline. Life support is still functioning. The other 3 Drazari ships hesitated, then began firing all their weapons at the Odysseus. The human ship's shields glowed brightly, but held firm. Shield. Strength at 95%, Nicole said. Their weapons are powerful, but our defenses are holding. Target the next ship, Alan ordered. Same settings. One by one, the Odysseus disabled the Drazari vessels. None were destroyed, but all were left drifting in space, unable to fight or flee. When the last ship was disabled, Alan turned to Elizabeth. Open a channel to Warlord Kress. The reptilian face appeared again, now lit only by emergency lighting. The warlord looked shocked and angry. What have you done to my ships? He demanded. We've disabled them temporarily, Alan explained. Your crews are unharmed. We'll restore power after we've established communication with the Raxenthal and ensured they're safe. This is impossible, Kress said, his voice shaking with rage. Your species hasn't even had warp capability for a decade. Alan smiled slightly. We had nuclear weapons in the 1940s but didn't discover penicillin until 1928. Our development path isn't linear like yours. He ended the communication and turned to his crew. They were all watching him with expressions of pride and amazement. Nicole, keep weapons locked on the Drazari ships. Paul, move us closer to the Homekeeper. Sam, prepare to board and offer medical assistance. Elizabeth, send a message to Earth. Tell them first contact was successful. As the Odysseus moved toward the damaged Raxenthal ship, Alan knew their actions today would change everything. The Confederation could no longer dismiss humans as primitive or weak. The galaxy would have to take notice. The humans had arrived. The galaxy laughed. When humans sent one vessel, then it arrived. News of the encounter between the Odysseus and the Drazari ship spread quickly throughout Confederation space. No one could explain how a single vessel from a primitive planet had defeated 4 warships from one of the Confederation's founding species. Even more surprising was that the humans had disabled the ships without destroying them or harming their crews. 3 days after the battle, Captain Alan Russell sat in a meeting room aboard the Odysseus. Across the table was Valen, the leader of the Raxenthal. The alien's silver eyes reflected the light as he spoke. My people owe you a debt we cannot repay, Captain. Without your intervention, the Homekeeper would have been destroyed, along with our government and thousands of civilians. We were happy to help, Alan replied. Has your ship completed repairs? Yes, thanks to your engineers. They are remarkable. Their solutions were unexpected. Alan smiled. This was something he had noticed as the human crew worked alongside the Raxenthal. Humans approached problems differently. While the aliens followed established protocols, humans improvised and found shortcuts. What will you do now? Alan asked. Valen's eyes dimmed slightly. We must still find a new home. Our planet is becoming uninhabitable due to changes in our sun. The Drazari know this. That is why they attacked. They want us desperate, so we will accept their protection and become their servants. Alan thought for a moment. What if you had Earth's protection instead? Valen's eyes widened. You would do this. The Drazari are powerful. The Confederation will not oppose them. The Confederation doesn't tell Earth what to do, Alan said firmly. We've already established a mutual defense treaty with you. That's why we intervened in the battle. This wasn't exactly true. The treaty had been drafted in the past 3 days, but Valen didn't need to know that. What mattered was that humans were ready to stand up for those who couldn't defend themselves. The Drazari will not be pleased, Valen warned. They're already not pleased, Alan replied with a smile. What's important is that your people are safe. After the meeting, Alan returned to the bridge. Lieutenant Commander Nicole Barnes was waiting with a report. Sir, we're receiving a lot of communication requests. Word of what happened has spread. Ships from 12 different species are asking to meet with us. 12? Alan was surprised. Why so many? Dr. Sam Holloway looked up from his station. Most of these species are like the Raxenthal. They're new to space travel or have small territories. The Confederation treats them as second-class members at best. And now they see us as potential allies, Alan concluded. Or they're just curious about our technology, Nicole added. Probably both, Alan said. Set course for the nearest neutral trading station. We'll meet as many as we can. Over the next month, the Odysseus visited 5 different systems. At each stop, they met with representatives from non-Confederation worlds. Some were curious, others desperate for help. All were surprised by the humans' willingness to share knowledge and offer assistance without demanding control in return. When the Odysseus encountered a severe radiation storm threatening a Nithvar colony, Lieutenant Paul Garcia devised a navigation solution that allowed them to evacuate the colonists by making small jumps between radiation waves. The Confederation ships couldn't replicate this technique. When negotiations between the warring Solarian Compact and Vega Alliance reached a standstill, Dr. Holloway suggested they resolve their territory dispute with a modified version of Earth's ancient you-cut-I-choose method for fair division. The two species who had fought for decades found peace in a single day. Dr. Elizabeth Morgan created translation algorithms that captured cultural nuance in ways the Confederation's purely logical systems couldn't, enabling real understanding between species that had miscommunicated for centuries. With each success, Earth's reputation grew. The humans weren't just powerful, they were creative problem solvers. 6 weeks after their first encounter with the Drizari, the Odysseus received an urgent message. A Confederation enforcement fleet was heading toward the Raxonthal's new colony. World. How many ships? Alan asked as the crew gathered on the bridge. 7, Nicole reported. All heavily armed. They're claiming the Raxonthal violated Confederation territory laws. Can we reach the colony before they do? Paul checked his navigation display. Just barely. We'll need to push the engines to maximum. Alan nodded. Do it. And send a message to all our new allies. Tell them what's happening. The Odysseus arrived at the Raxonthal colony just hours before the Confederation fleet. The human ship positioned itself between the approaching fleet and the planet. On the main screen, the face of the Confederation fleet commander appeared. He was an Arctarian, like High Ambassador Zev Karan, with the same insect-like features. Human. Vessel, this is Commander Thresh of the Confederation Enforcement Division. You are interfering in official Confederation business. Move aside or be destroyed. Alan stood tall. This is Captain Russell of the Earthship Odysseus. The Raxonthal are under Earth's protection. They have broken no laws. Earth has no authority to establish protectorates, Thresh said coldly. This is your final warning. The screen went dark. Nicole reported from her station. They're charging weapons, sir. Shields at maximum, Alan ordered. Prepare gravity weapon, but do not fire unless I give the command. The first shots from the Confederation ships hit the Odysseus with much more force than the Drizari weapons had. The ship shook slightly. Shield strength at 80%, Nicole reported. They're hitting us with everything they have. Hold. Position, Alan said calmly. Suddenly Paul called out, Captain, I'm detecting multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel all around us. The main screen showed space filling with ships of various designs. Some were small and fast, others large and powerful. All were positioning themselves alongside the Odysseus. A voice came through the communication system. This is Captain Merrick of the Solarian Vessel Defender. We stand with Earth. Another voice followed. Vega Alliance Ship Harmony, reporting. For duty. Then another, and another. Ships from every species the Odysseus had helped over the past month had come to return the favor. 17 ships in total, Nicole reported, her voice filled with wonder. The Confederation fleet is outnumbered. Alan opened a channel to Commander Thresh. As you can see, Commander, Earth is not alone. None of us want to fight, but we will defend our allies. I suggest you return to Confederation space and tell your leaders that the galaxy is changing. There was a long pause before Thresh responded. His mandibles clicked with anger, but his voice was controlled. This matter will be addressed by the Galactic Council. This is not over, human. The Confederation ships turned away and disappeared into faster-than-light travel. As the Allies celebrated their victory, Dr. Holloway approached Alan on the bridge. Captain, I've been studying Confederation history. This is unprecedented. No one has ever stood up to them like this and succeeded. We didn't do it alone, Alan pointed out. That's just it, Sam said excitedly. The Confederation has always used divide-and-conquer tactics. Each species dealt with separately. You showed them another way, cooperation based on mutual respect instead of fear. Alan looked at the screen showing all the Allied ships surrounding them. We showed them the human way. The galaxy laughed. When humans sent one vessel, then it arrived one standard galactic year after the USS Odysseus first revealed itself. Representatives from 27 different alien species gathered at a special meeting. The location was not a Confederation space station or a neutral trading post. Instead, they met on Unity, Earth's newly completed orbital diplomatic station. The station hung above Earth like a shining wheel. Large windows offered views of the blue planet below. The meeting chamber was a circular room with seats arranged so everyone could see each other as equals. No high platforms, no special thrones, just a circle of delegates ready to talk. Captain Alan Russell stood by the window, looking at the ships docked at the station. Vessels of all shapes and sizes represented the many species who had come to this historic gathering. Some were former Confederation members who had broken away. Others were species who had never been allowed to join. Quite a change from last year, Admiral Laura Peterson said as she joined him at the window. Back then, the Confederation thought we were just primitive newcomers who needed guidance. Alan smiled. Amazing what one ship can do. One ship with the right crew, Laura corrected. She had been promoted after the success of the Odysseus mission. Now she oversaw Earth's growing space program. The Confederation representatives have arrived, announced Lieutenant Commander Nicole Barnes, who had also been promoted and now served as security chief for the station. Alan nodded. How many came? Just one ship. High Ambassador Zev Karan himself. This was significant. The Confederation, now reduced to only 7 loyal species after many defections, had sent their highest diplomat. The meeting began an hour later. Delegates from all 27 species sat in the circle, with the High Ambassador of the Confederation sitting directly across from the Earth representatives. President Kate Simmons stood to speak first. She was visiting the station for this historic occasion. Welcome to Unity Station. We gather today not as rulers and subjects, or as advanced and primitive species, but as equals, each with something to offer, each with something to learn. The delegates nodded in agreement. The president continued. 1 year ago, many of you had never heard of Earth, those who had thought of us as weak, primitive, or unimportant. Today, we hope to begin a new chapter in galactic relations. Zev Karan stood next. His large, insect-like body seemed less impressive than it had a year ago when he first visited Earth. The Confederation has existed for over 5,000 years, he began. We have brought stability and progress to hundreds of worlds. Your alternative approach has caused disruption and uncertainty. Valen of the Raxenthal spoke up. The Confederation brought stability through control. Earth offered partnership without demands. Other delegates voiced their agreement. Representatives from species that had been under Confederation rule for centuries described how they had been kept dependent, never allowed to develop their own unique technologies or expand freely. Zev Karan's mandibles clicked with irritation. Your single ship changed the galactic political landscape in ways we couldn't have imagined, he admitted, looking at President Simmons. But one vessel, no matter how advanced, cannot protect all these worlds if the Confederation decides to act. Admiral Peterson smiled. You're right, she replied. That's why we've launched 6 more. The announcement sent a wave of excitement through the chamber. Earth hadn't been building a ship. They'd been creating a new technological approach, one that blended human innovation with carefully studied alien science. Each vessel has a specialized focus, Laura explained. The Odysseus was just the beginning. Zev Karan seemed to shrink slightly in his seat. The Confederation Council will need to reconsider its position regarding Earth. We hope they do, President Simmons said. We're not interested in conflict. We want cooperation, real cooperation, not domination disguised as guidance. The meeting continued for hours as the delegates discussed the formation of a new alliance. Unlike the Confederation, this would be a true partnership where each species contributed according to their abilities and received help based on their needs. After the meeting, Alan found himself looking at Earth again from the observation deck. Dr. Olivia Wright joined him there. I heard you're taking command of our newest ship, she said. Alan nodded. The USS Discovery. She's even more advanced than the Odysseus. And I hear you've requested Sam Holloway and Elizabeth Morgan for your crew. And you, Alan added. If you're willing. We're going to explore beyond Confederation maps. There's a whole galaxy out there that they've ignored because it didn't offer immediate benefits to their powerful members. Olivia smiled. Exploring for the sake of knowledge and understanding, that sounds very human. 2 weeks later, the 7 Earth vessels prepared for their maiden voyages. Each carried multinational crews and representatives from allied alien species. The ships gathered above Earth for a ceremonial departure, their sleek designs shining in the sunlight. On the bridge of the Discovery, Captain Russell addressed his crew. 1 year ago, the galaxy laughed when humans sent one vessel into space. Today, no one is laughing. Lieutenant Paul Garcia looked up from the navigation console. Course is set, Captain. Where to first? The Andromeda sector, Alan replied. According to our Nithvar allies, there are inhabited worlds there that the Confederation never bothered to contact because they didn't have valuable resources. Sounds perfect, said Dr. Holloway. New cultures, new species, new friends, and no one telling us what we can and cannot do, added Lieutenant Commander Barnes from her tactical station. As the Earth fleet prepared to depart, Alan received one final message from Admiral Peterson on Earth. Remember what makes us different from the Confederation. We explore not to conquer or control, but to learn and connect. Show them what humanity truly stands for. Alan looked around at his diverse crew, humans working alongside members of 5 different alien species, all wearing the same uniform, all sharing the same mission. Let's show the galaxy what we can do together, he said. The 7 ships activated their engines and disappeared into faster-than-light travel, leaving behind a trail of light. On thousands of worlds across the galaxy, beings of all types looked up at the stars with a new emotion regarding humans. Not amusement, not contempt, not even fear, respect. The galaxy had laughed when humans sent one vessel into space. No one was laughing now.